We've got a free kick on the edge. James Ball loves a free kick. James Ball! Yes! For the height. What a touch by Hare. Adina in. Keaton Ward. Long ball off to Kyle Hudlin. He shoots! Oh! What a goal! Can James Ball get there? He can. Keep it alive, James. He cuts it back. Captain Connor! He's done it! He's done it in the North. He's done it in the National. He's done it in League 2. And Captain Connor has done it in League 1. Brandon Fleming. Through to Dale Taylor. Dale Taylor into Brandon Fleming. In behind to Zidane Iqbal. Oscar Thorne! Come on! Yes! Oscar Thorne on his professional debut scores what's surely now the winner. Mola. He plays it. I think he might be off again. Nigel Hughes is in. Penalty! I think it's a penalty. It's a penalty! Oh my word! Oh my word, chat, it's a penalty. Tiny Nigel Hewson! Tiny Nigel Hewson is stepping up. Oh my word. 9 minutes to go. Tiny Nigel Hewson, he's been with us from the start. Can he? Of course he can! Navio intercepts. Carol van der Poel plays it through to Dragon. Surely, Dragon, please. He's only gone and done it! Come on! Gomez whips in. Pedrinho, he's got a second bite at the cherry! And he plucks it from the tree and puts it in his mouth. Strange commentary, but enjoy it. It's 2-0. Do we win the Premier League or do we not? This is when we find out, chat. Surely we can't bottle this. It's Leo Macon. Leo Macon. He's done it again! He's done it again! Murat's in. Murat Ozdemir. Murat Ozdemir, has he just scored the goal that's won us the Premier League? I can't believe it! I never thought we'd do it. I never thought we'd do it. Chorley Football Club have won the Premier League. Come on! Come on! Today is going to be all about Chorley and my fantastic save with them. A save that spanned 13 seasons and about 7 months of my life. And it's gone hand in hand with my growth as a new streamer on Twitch. We've gone from the Conference North all the way to the Premier League and finished our final season as Premier League and Europa League champions. So this is a bit of background on the spreadsheets we all know and love as Football Manager fans, just to see exactly how we got there, the key players that we signed throughout that, and an in-depth look in what the scape of English football looks like now and beyond. I hope that's what you're here for, and I hope you enjoyed the highlights package before. I must admit, just looking back on a few clips from special goals, I tried to include a few really important players in there. You can't help but feel a little bit sentimental, but it's such a privilege to be able to look back on all those, because playing offline you never have those experiences. They're all in your head, whereas I have literal little moments captured, which is amazing. I'd recommend streaming Football Manager to anybody really, but let's pop into the video and let's see exactly how Chorley had their success. So we start the club as a whole. As you can see, their trophy cabinet was not particularly full when we arrived, with 2 English Northern Premier League titles. Now, we didn't win an awful lot of league titles in our ascent up the divisions with a National League North, a League 1, but in the last 2 seasons bringing an FA Cup, which then got our qualification to Europe, and then this season winning the Premier League and the Europa League, obviously the pinnacle of our trophy cabinet. This was actually our journey up the divisions. So the game starts on 21-22, but I actually started to save in February this year. So I thought, you know what, we're not a million miles away from the end of the season. Let's start it, let's sim a season and then join the club. So we joined Chorley then, and we finished first of the National League North, sorry. Then we finished third in the National League and got promoted via the playoffs. Then we finished third again in League 2, so we went back to back to back, which was very exciting. However, then we had our issue where we stagnated in League 1 for a couple of years before getting out of it and then relegated from the Championship. I actually spent 8 hours of streaming without winning a single game during that season. It wasn't much fun, but luckily Chorley board decided to keep us on, and we did bounce straight back up by winning the League 1 title. then immediately somehow getting promoted from the Championship and staying in the Prem for 4 years. You can see as well on the record: 669 games played, 340 games, 2 games won, 128 games drawn, and 199 just one away from that double century of losses. We scored over 1,000 goals. We conceded over 750 goals with a goal difference of 340 and a win percentage of 51%, which actually I'm quite proud of, if I'm honest. If you want to see a bit more in-depth detail about our seasons, these are each of our seasons. Every single game was played on stream. Every single game. So we did put in quite a big shift. I think our top points total was 94 when we won League One. Yeah, this is just, if you want to pause and have a look at those and break those down, feel free. So now we move on to our best 11, and I give you air quotations here because I don't know about everyone else who plays Football Manager, but I always feel the best 11 is always a little bit disappointing. I don't think it's quite right. However, we will look at it very briefly. We've got Alfie Roberts in goal, Reece Gosling, Jake Hull, Lewis Baines and Benny Couto. Zidane, Iqbal and Angry Maguire with Pedrinho, Kudimbana, Brandon Fleming and Captain Connor. And I don't deny that all of those played a lot of games for the club. I think some of them, especially in the back line, played a lot of games before I joined. So I do think that's maybe why I feel slightly less attached to them. But if we go all the way back to our very first season here, this is the team that we predominantly lined up with. Once again, feel free to pause at any point here, but you can notably see the two front men scored absolutely loads. Once again, Captain Connor, who was a consistent figure in the team at the start of the save, and obviously our captain. This is when big Kyle Hudlin joined the club. They had an incredible year in League Two when we got promoted. Both the strikers scored 50 goals between them. Alfie Roberts there as well with 52 games for the club. Alfie Roberts continued in goal, and this is the first season actually where Captain Connor wasn't part of it. So once we got to League One, even though he was part of the squad, you can see there 42 games predominantly off the bench, and Ryan Emerson pipping him to the team of the year there. Super Marky Wilson, what a signing he was in League One. 21 goals, pretty much kept us in this division, alongside not Aaron Ramsey, Rafty Pedder, Ricardo Santos, the veteran, and Marco Morosi in goal. I think that's the first season, the first season where we had a new keeper after Alfie Roberts wouldn't come back on loan. Dale Taylor, we got on a free. Joel Signey on loan. George Earthy, Damali Fang was on loan. Lots and lots of key players, including notable mention for Mr. Rubbish, who actually wasn't as rubbish as we first thought. Aaron Maguire then joined when we went into the Championship, and so did a big player in the save, Derek, the Brazilian, not international, capped under 20s, who had quite a bizarre career really, where we signed him on a free. We then went down, and so he went for 2 million to Fulham. We then had him on loan for a number of years before eventually buying him back. Definitely not for homegrown quota. It definitely wasn't. It was because we wanted him. Might have been for homegrown quota. Super Marky Wilson there came back on loan and didn't have as good a year. Then we got relegated with that side. So that was the side that went down. This was the side that came back up, and I'd like to make notable mentions here for Sir Nigel Hewson, who we'll talk about in a little bit, and Aziz Agba. Aziz Agba was a big deal when we signed him. The predominantly right winger. Now his technicals do not scream amazing footballer, but for us, he became one of the best 11. We did have to loan him out for a couple of years in the Premier League, but a really good contribution, and for £275,000 to get an assist in the Europa League final, he was one of the stories of the save for me. Another one is Tiny Nigel Hewson. We call him Tiny Nigel because he is 5'1", and it is quite notable, especially when standing next to 6'9" Kyle Hudlin, that he is not the tallest gentleman. However, what a legend of the save this boy was, and he was part of the youth intake in the very first season as well. I don't think I've ever had this before. He played 7 games in the Premier League this season after once again having a couple of loans. He also did come on in the Europa League final, and Tiny Nigel never really being unbelievable, maybe other than our promotion season where he did have a big impact, but He had a big impact on our hearts. So Gaz Brady also with his one season wonder there. With 16 goals, potentially a notable mention. Neil O'Neill as well. We all loved Neil O'Neill. Then we moved on to another. Sorry, this one. That was actually our promotion winning team from League One. This is now the promotion winning team from the Championship. Elijah Adebayo was a player. Oh, he's now retired. That is sad. So we can't see his stats, but you can see there he played 47 games for us and scored 28 goals. He was a really, really good signing. He signed, it says here, he spent some time on trial at Chorley. Didn't even play for us, according to the records. Good old FM. I'm pretty sure he did because he scored 29 goals. Sir Nigel there, Aziz Agbo. Chickpea in the middle, Alpha Kamara. Not sure why we actually named him Chickpea in the end, but we did. Kudimbana as well. Stephen Ibrahim, Derek. Ashley Wookie, who came in the season prior and was our captain for a number of years. He's actually about to leave us. And Tim Melverton as well, the Australian number one. Who's now, as you can see, at Burnley. We signed for 240k and sold for 30 million. We robbed them blind, as you can see from their relegation. But Tim Melverton was quite the player. One player I haven't really mentioned is Zidane Iqbal, who we actually signed back in League Two, and he played for us. I think he's the player who had the most appearances for us during the entire save for us. I think it was something around 240 he played for us. So really, really remarkable for Zidane Iqbal, the Manchester United youth player. We then move into our Premier League team, and you notable mentions here, Jacob Greaves. He was a very solid signing. Luke Evans, with his 8 goals, potentially keeping us in the division really, never really made it. We spent way too much money on him, and I'd rather not talk about it if that's okay. Then, this is when the superstars start coming in, and superstar number 1 was Pedrinho. Now, Pedrinho, he is a truly special player. How he's not being capped for Brazil is beyond me. But scoring 23 goals in the Premier League last season, and outside of that, he scored another 25. He was one of the few more modern players that got into our best 11. Honestly, a special player, and an absolute. I can't remember how much. £10 million we signed him for, an absolute bargain. Jose Andre Gomez was another one who I think we brought in January of that year. A really, really solid Mazzala, and we also signed a little known man called Dragon. Now as Sarr gives it away, Dragon shoots. Oh my word! Oh. What a goal this is by Dragon, by the way. I told you this lad's special. Look at this goal. We win it back, just as I'm saying Everton are going to get back in the game. Not gives it into Dragon. He takes a touch out of his feet, and that is outstanding. He is just a baby. I don't know whether it is his magnificent haircut, his fantastic good looks, or the fact his personality is fickle. But Dragon was the star of this save, in my opinion. There was just something about him when we signed him where we took a step up. Now, without really having the most amazing of numbers, but seeing that progression, and he was our number 1 striker this season as well. There's something about this boy that really, really excites me. He's only 21 years of age, and it's almost a shame that we will now stunt his growth by basically making him not exist anymore. But what a player. He created so many special moments for us, just like the one we've just seen. And Dragon, chef's kiss. In 33-34, this is when I realised we had a team on our hands. We won the FA Cup this year. We were not a million miles away from Europe. A little bit disappointed not to get Europe. But this was a team with Johnny P in goal, who I think is possibly the best keeper on the game at the moment. Tom Weston, Rodriguez Navio and Fagundes. Fagundes an excellent left wing back. Jose Gomez, Kouame, Pedrinho, Van der Poel and Berraway out on the left, of Dragon up front. Now, it was a really, really good side, this. Honourable mentions for Johnny P, who, I mean, really, really excellent goalkeeper if you look at him there. The positioning I love, the one-on-ones I love, the aerial reach I love. I just think he's absolutely fantastic. a really, really talented goalkeeper. And then you look at the likes of Tom Weston, the Englishman we bought in from Fulham for only 1.9 million, brilliant. Fagundes, as I say, a genuinely talented left back. Those stats really do speak volumes. Van der Poel was a good signing as well. Very happy with him. 23 million from Barcelona, and he's done a great job, especially this season. Betteraway was a bit of an odd one. We signed him for 42 million from Everton. We should not have signed him for 42 million from Everton, but we had 42 million left over in January, so I thought, why not? Should have not. And then that brings us to our title winning team, and as you'll notice, there's not an awful lot of changes there. There is one big change though, and that man is Jan Hansen. This player won us the Premier League. I'm just going to say it, he won us the Premier League. I wish I'd got him earlier. At 24, the Faroe Island international, which is just brilliant. That rivals having Matty Longstaff, the South Korean international, I think. He was unbelievable. 22 league goals, 14 assists for us. We signed him for £7 million. What a player. What a player. He won Players Player of the Year. He won Player of the Year. Just absolutely exceptional. And probably the best player we bought, I'd say now. Maybe him or Johnny P, the keeper. But goodness me, what a player he is. Hello, I'm down here now. So that brings us to today, and this is the team, the Premier League winning team. I talked about Jan Hansen. Noel Gilder was also a very solid signing from Bournemouth. He became really important for us, being quite a defensive-minded playmaker. So he really did add a different dimension for us in the midfield, and what a Mohican as well. But this was the Premier League winning team, and don't get me wrong, the backup brigade, they all had a big part to play in it as well. Aziz Agbo scoring 10 goals this season, Ozdemir coming in January. I'll just click on him briefly. We spent quite a lot of money on Ozdemir, but that was a bit of a throwaway, knowing the save was ending. But he got us quite a few goals, so that was obviously fantastic. But this was the team. And what a team as well. I think what I'll do is I will leave you with the words of past Y Callum to summarise the series. Thank you so much for watching. Chat, it's been 13 years of fun. I symbolically will always see this Chorley save as one of my favourites, because it's the reason I got into streaming. I've done this save through streaming. Every single game's been streamed, and what a brilliant way to end it. Genuinely fantastic. Thank you so much for everyone coming in. Thank you for watching. Me now have to know Chorley. Don't worry. I hope the stuff I do in FM23 will be as good. Because this has been a save that I'll always remember. So, have a great rest of your day. Thank you very much for being here. And up the Chorley.